Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Lowe. I'm going to be giving you a presentation on development delay. Please excuse the headphones. I've got a really bad cold, so if I need to cough, I can just cough. So yeah, I think so. If I just move the slideshow on, this will be very brief, but I think it's really important information, specifically targeted for parents like myself and teachers and caregivers. And so what we're looking at here today is some research that was done back in 2007. And it was titled, and I can share the links. I'll find a way of sharing the links. Sorry, yeah, because this is not live. But anyway, so it was called Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder is characterized by a delay in cortical maturation. And the study was done by a guy called P. Shaw, with some other researchers as well, and that was in 2007. And so, really, very basically, what they did was they used MRI scans, and they were looking at basically how quickly the cortex thickened as children aged. So, going from, and I think they measured it from about 5 up until 18. And what they found was that the ADHD brain seemed to mature less quickly than their non-ADHD counterparts. And so I'm just going to show you, and I will get to the reason why this is important. So this is the way they did it, and so the coloring here is the white or the light gray, if you want to call it, signifies unmatured or less thick cortex, and you can see the two groups. So this is the ADHD group, and this is the typically developing controls. And as you can see here, there's still a lot of light gray left, as the typically developing controls have nearly finished their cortical thickening in this area. And so you can see there's kind of like a discrepancy. And whilst on these it doesn't look huge, they then actually plotted it against two scenarios, which I'll show you shortly. Again, then they've got another graphic here. Again, this shows a side view, which is quite stark actually. So you can see a lot of light gray here. And the typically developing is almost done by the age of 8. And yet these go kind of all the way up to 11 and 12. But to put your fears at rest, there is maturation is reached in both sample sets. It's just that ADHD maturation happens a lot later. And so I'll show you that. So if you can see here, this is all cortical points, so this is throughout the brain. You can see this lag here with ADHD. So this is age, and this is the thickening, as in the maturity. And so the typically developing group, it happens quicker, and the ADHD group, it lags. But they both meet eventually at the age of kind of 20, let's say 23, 24. Likewise, it's even more profound in the prefrontal cortex thickening. Your typically developing group are much quicker, mature much quicker, and the ADHD group matures less quickly. And so again, this has implications. So I guess then, what does this information, well, how does this information help? And I think, particularly this is my experience of my child, and equally, having spoken to many other parents, yeah, I was sort of wondering why he struggled to make kind of social, emotional connections with his peer groups and always seemed to be slightly immature compared to his peer groups. And whilst this is not, this is again, this is research. It's not set in stone. There have been there has been other research, more recent research. There was another study in 2014 looking at major neural networks. But equally, they found a lag in maturation of those as well. So it seems to be pointing that way. Now, I don't, this doesn't make the ADHD cohort, any less able. But what it does seem to point to is this kind of, when we think of maturity, and that social emotional maturity, it's the ability to make and retain friends of your own peer group. And I find it sort of two extremes. Either they go, they get on very, very well with adults because I guess they don't feel threatened by adults, and adults are more understanding, etc., etc. Or they actually start to go down in their year groups and they make younger friends because the younger friends seem to still have the same social, emotional ages as themselves. And now this is again not for every child. So please, I want you just to, if you're wondering perhaps why your child is seems to be slightly immature, perhaps this is a reason why. Okay. And equally, knowing this is not going to probably make it any better as such, but it may help you have a reason and therefore an empathy as to why this is actually going on. And so you're perhaps more understanding about why they're struggling so much socially. So what I wanted to do really was leave you with a really, really good resource that has helped us as a family, and I know has helped many others. And actually, it seems to be little known in this country because obviously, it's not obvious, but it's an American resource, and it's called socialthinking.com. So I'm just going to stop sharing this for 1 second, and I'm going to go and share my. Here we are. So hopefully you can see what I can see, which is social thinking. So it's really simple, www.socialthinking.com. Okay. And they've got loads of resources and products up here, online training. And this online training and free webinars, these are really good. And again, teachers and parents can access this. This is not, really in-depth stuff. It's really simple kind of ideas and concepts, and toolkits for helping your children navigate these really quite difficult kind of areas in life. So they've got stuff for early learners. Obviously, the earlier we teach our kids around social thinking and how to form relationships and learn how to interact socially with your own peer group, that the better the outcomes will be later on. Elementary school, yeah. So you can see where I'm going with this, but I promise you, please have a look at this website. It is absolutely, it's rammed with really fantastic. Sorry, 1 sec. Excuse me. It's got some really, really good content in here, which I think you'll find really useful. And all of this stuff you can buy. Most of these resources are online anyway. You just download them and print them. So yeah, that's and anybody kind of thinking of a career regarding this sort of social thinking, they I think they also train they have trainers that can kind of train out this sort of stuff. Yeah, so anyway, that's it. And thank you very much for listening. And if you've got any kind of sorry, questions and stuff, totally losing the plot here. Then yeah, just stick it in the, I guess, LinkedIn, and I'll try and pick it up from there. Thank you very much for your time. All right.